Hi, welcome back to another episode of this thing that I call a podcast. It is Saturday, August 7th, and I have a pretty good mix of things to share with you today. So I'm just going to jump into what I'm wearing. I don't have anything fiber related on, but I am wearing, and I'll post a photo, earrings that I got from Hello Lavender. They just arrived this week, and I thought I'd wear them today for the podcast. They're super comfortable polymer clay earrings, super gorgeous. So like I said, I'll be sure to insert a photo, and I have another thing from her that I will share later on. Excuse me. With that, super quick, I'm going to jump into FOs because I have 1.5, I guess you could call it. I'm going to start with the actual FO, which is my Gorge Pumpkin by Fifth Knits. I'm going to stop myself right here because I realized that I totally messed up the designer of this pattern. There's something about the FI and the two shops names that I get mixed up, but the designer is actually Fit Food Art Shop. This pattern designer creates beautiful pumpkins. There was a recent release of a collection, I think both knit and crochet. So be sure to check the account out because this is a crochet pumpkin, but look at how cute it is. And this one actually was a free pattern. So, I mean, can't go wrong there. Stick and the super cute pumpkin leaf tag by Idaho Tailor Made. And I'd heard of that account for a while now, but I hadn't ordered anything until I saw these super cute tags, and they ended up being the perfect size for my pumpkin. Make sure it's focused on that. Look at how cute it was. So I actually have two that I have made, and I got two colors of leaves. There we go. So this is the darker green and this is the lighter green. You can see there's a little bit of a difference. The camera's not, it's blowing out and making this more saturated than it actually is, but they're really pretty green, both of them actually. And they both worked really well with this orange. So I'm quite pleased. I was worried that this size maybe wouldn't fit very well, but I think they're absolutely perfect. So I've added one to each. The sticks are just things we found. We went on a walk through our town one day last September to find a whole bunch of sticks that I could use on pumpkins. And we've had a pile of sticks sitting in our apartment for like a year, and now I'm finally making myself make pumpkins. I shouldn't say that like it's a bad thing, because I love making pumpkins. It's just, I finally made myself make the time to make pumpkins. So, super cute, so much texture with this stitch used in this pattern. The yarn I'm using, here it is. It's the Eco Cozy by Loops and Threads. It is the yarn that is made from recycled plastic, which I think is pretty cool. Like, I bought it because I was kind of amazed by the concept. This color doesn't exist anymore that I know of. At least Michael's isn't selling it anymore. They have a whole new season of colors because I bought this last year. But it is so soft and it's single ply, so I was kind of obsessed with it. Still am. Just feels really nice. So that is my FO, and I plan to make more. I'll show that later too, because I'm kind of combining my mail. I don't want to combine my mail and my FO section. So pumpkins. So my half FO, you could call it. There's going to be a Halloween knit-along by Ambo Brian later in October. And they haven't released the pattern yet. I think there are going to be some sneak peeks starting next Friday the 13th. But some specs were given so that we could start planning our yarn, and based on that I decided it would be fun to dye yarn, since I have my dive into dyeing kits from Knit Crate, where they give you some acid dyes and basic equipment so that you can practice different dyeing techniques. And so I've had some bare yarn and I've had some acid dyes. I'm just trying to hunt down all of the colors. So this pattern calls for 12 20-gram minis and 1 full skein, all fingering weight. But it sounds like there's also going to be some DK variations too. So I'm going to start with my minis, and I'll preface that based off of some of the other shawl designs this person has created, I suspect it'll be kind of like a lacier look, which I'm very excited for. In fact, it's the same designer that created the pattern I ended up using for my Harry Potter Advent last year. The Advent Trap. I almost blanked on the name. So I'm anticipating that it's going to be kind of a lacier pattern. And so I pretty much focused on doing like tonals / semi-solids for these colors. I do have some speckling going on, but I kept it pretty like solid tones. So I'll start with my favorite Halloween colors are black, orange, purple, and green. And Halloween is my favorite holiday to create things for. So I'm blindly jumping into this with all of the arms and legs and just throwing my whole self into this without knowing much more than what kind of yarn is needed. So these are my 3 purple minis. I'll add that later. So I think they have pretty good contrast between them. Basically, the 6 of the minis are supposed to contrast with the 6 other minis, and then the full skein could pretty much be whatever. So I have my purple, I have my green, and this is actually from the die breaking. Well, no, maybe it didn't break. I think it just has to do with how the blues and yellows absorbed. Still learning the terminology. But like the blue, obviously right here, adhered. I'm trying to think of a better word, but it adhered to the yarn first before the yellow did. So I have some really pretty like teal in this skein, which was a complete accident. And then I have my green that I speckled with orange and purple. So that ends up creating a pretty effect. And I should say, I don't think it shows up very well, but I did speckle my purple with black. And it kind of just makes it look like it has parts that are darker. It also didn't end up being as obvious as I think I would have liked, but I was attempting to have my speckled yarn also be more of like a variated. So I put the yarn in dry into acid water already. Like the dye was in with the water and so was my acid. And then I put in the yarn dry so that it would absorb at different rates. And you can see it with the purple, especially if I were to unskein it, but I'm not, because I'm not great. But like there you can see where it's pretty light, because it was like the inside of the skein where the dye didn't necessarily reach. I am so great at skeining. Anyway, the green is pretty much all solid. And then I have my orange, and I originally had 3 oranges, but they kind of, I'm still learning. I mathed for my base formulas based on testing I had done with colors, but what I failed to do when I was dyeing the lighter tonals, because I was going to start with my darkest color and then scale it back and basically kind of make like a mini fade of each color. But my lights didn't end up being as light as I would have liked, and I had to re-dye some, and I basically switched up the order. Like, this originally was supposed to be the medium tone, and this is what I had first dyed for the light tone, but then I created that one when I saw this one was going to be too dark. And then I pulled out my dark tone. I didn't bring it over here. I didn't bring my extras. I ended up having 3 extras that I swapped out. For my green, the purple, like this was supposed to be the medium tone. Are we sensing a theme here? It ended up being my darkest. And again, this was my lightest tone. And then I went back and created this one. And with my oranges, I had the same problem, surprise, surprise. But I decided that even though I love orange as a Halloween color, I'm not crazy about orange in general. And so I have 2 oranges. This poor thing became a mess when I dyed it, so I gotta fix it at some point, but right now it's just this. So there's not a whole lot. This is a little bit darker. I think the difference is more noticeable in real life than on camera. But this one was also speckled with purple, but it kind of ended up looking black. I wanted to speckle it with black, but the purple kind of made it. And it's a very subtle speckle. I was trying really hard to come up with sharp speckles too. Like, I wrung the water out of all of these. And I think the speckling worked best on the green. Like the purple, it just kind of looks like a variation. And on the orange too, I guess there's some showing up right there. But it's not like the fine speckles that I was trying to go for. So I'm still practicing that too. But there are the oranges. And then, because I needed 12, and I didn't want to have 4 of the purple, orange, and green, I decided to bring in some other colors. So I brought in gray and yellow for like the full moon and like a stormy, spooky sky type of thing. So I have a medium toned yellow, and then a lighter yellow that I speckled black. And I think the speckling turned out the best actually on the yellow, because you can actually, and don't ask me what I did different, because it's not even that this was speckled with Kool-Aid and this was speckled with acid dye, because I speckled this one with acid dye. No idea what I did different, but the speckles sure turned out the way I wanted them to on my yellow. So, and then different shades of gray, medium tone and a lighter one. And drum roll for the full skein, because I really wanted a sparkle sock for my full, and I was thinking I'd have to order it, but thanks to Knit Crate and the 3rd class, it came with bare sparkle yarn, and I made this. Look at that. There's more sparkle in this than I think the yarn that I would have ended up buying. And since it was a solid, I was like, might as well. So I made a super deep concentration of black dye and kettle dyed this. Actually, technically all of them are kettle dyed, but I did these ones in like cups. If you follow me on Instagram, I'd posted some stories last weekend when I was dyeing the yarn. So I can't hold all of these up at once, but I will insert a photo that I took with all of them together, and they might not be as sophisticated as some of the sets that people are buying, because I decided to keep mine pretty flat, if you will, where my colors are concerned, but I think they look freaking gorgeous together. So I'm considering it a win. I'm very pleased with how they turned out, especially like as I was dyeing it, I wasn't sure how I'd feel about the yellow and the gray, but I like it a lot. So in fact, just seeing them all here together makes me so happy. So I'm very excited to start on this. If you're interested in participating, in the knit along, I think right now the main conversation is happening on Ravelry, but there must have been a post on Instagram at some point, because that's how I found out that there's a group dedicated specifically to people sharing all of the beautiful yarn that they're getting. So many good sets have been released. I think a lot of them have sold out, but I think there are still some available. So definitely check that out if you are able to. But I'm going to close that segment and move on to whips. So I guess I only have one new whip since the last podcast. So I will go through my usual cycle of the Tidings to You by Amy Gunderson. If you've been watching for a while, you know this is the wrap that I work on with my mom. We both got the Jimmy Beans craft vent for 2020. I did the warm colorway and she got the cool colorway. And we're just about every Saturday we work our way through some rows. So we're almost done. In fact, I think today we're going to finish this section. I think we have 6 or 8 rows left. So we're almost done with this section. It's turning out really gorgeous. I really love working with this yarn too. It's Madeline Tosh, a single ply. I'd have to look at the sheets for the specific amount or specific type of yarn, but it is a single ply sock or fingering weight. And I'm loving the color. Like, I saw the warm one and I was like, that one's mine. All of these oranges and neutrals and the mustards have my heart. This brown is also gorgeous. So anyway, it's progressing. I think I keep saying how we joke that we might have it finished by Christmas this year in time to get a new craft vent. But I don't know if we will finish it this year. Next, I'm going to share my update on my summer crochet top by Brianna K Designs. And I've been making slow progress on this, but I will say I went to my first stitch night this week. Yeah, I don't even think I've attended a virtual one. Our local yarn shop is about 15 minutes away or so, and I hadn't really been there before COVID. I think I'd been there once before COVID, but January 2020 is when I really started diving back into my fiber stuff. And even before that, when I was working with fiber, it was pretty much strictly store-bought yarns, and I hadn't broached the hand-dyed yarn scene. A lot of it being because of money. But now that I have been exposed to a completely different side of the craft, I knew as soon as things started opening back up again, I was going to participate in my first stitch night. So I brought this to work on. I think I was the only crocheter there. And knocked out, I don't know, maybe 10-15 rows. So I'm on the second panel. This is all the moss stitch right now. This is the Furls Z-Twist Merino. The one that I didn't end up buying enough yarn for. And I don't know, right now they're sold out of the color, but they've been sold out for a while. I need to reach out to them and see if they've discontinued this color or not. I need to be put out of my misery and know that either it's just going to take a while to get stock back up, or it's gone forever, because I will probably end up frogging it and using this yarn for something else. But for now, I'm just working away at it because it's my Make 9, and I have to hope that it's still on their website for a reason. And I know things are taking longer than normal right now because there are still lingering effects of industries being shut down with COVID, and all of that, you know, trickles down and takes some time to clear up. So that is making slow progress because I don't have enough yarn. I haven't been hitting this too hard because at some point I'll be stuck anyway, but I do want to kind of get caught up, if you will, to what I have left. I just started in my last skein, and once I'm there, I'll just put it on pause until I know more. So the moment that you might have been waiting for, because I know I have been, I couldn't share it last time because it was a tangled mess of yarn, and I was not going to move it from where I had it. I think I showed a photo at least of where I was, but it would have been a crappy photo in a natural lighting. So today, I have my Superstitious Pullover by Shawn. An update, at least, to show. I already dread weaving in all the ends, and it's by no means perfect. And I found out that I feel pretty good about two color work, but you start getting into the stuff that has like 3 and 4 colors, and that is hard. Here's a look at my insides. But I actually ended up doing a pre-block on this to try and even out some of the faces, and I think it helped a little bit, but not as much as I was hoping. But I mean, they're still fairly recognizable. You can tell what I'm trying to do. So I'm on the next colorwork section. I just started it. I found a mistake, so I've marked where I gotta rip back and fix this row because I did one too many teals, I think. And so everything after that is messed up. But it's looking pretty good. And this is the hardest section. Everything here on out will be easy peasy. I am absolutely convinced. Because if I can do the witches, I can do everything else on the sweater. So it was also very satisfying to get that done so close to the beginning. Because now the rest of it will be smooth sailing. I did decide to mix 2 charts for this next section because there are just so many good charts in this pattern. That's been what I've struggled with the most, is just trying to decide which ones I want to do. So I mixed all of the witches together because how could I choose just one Sanderson sister? And then on this one I'm doing, it's going to be the bat and broom and the word spooky. Yeah. And all of them are the same stitch widths. Like they take them out, their color takes the same amount of stitches up. So you can totally mix and match however you want. And I love that because now I'm going to have something completely custom for me, which is pretty cool. So, progress. My goal is to have it done. It'd be cool if I had it done by August, but I don't think I'm going to. So I'll say by mid-September, because then I can at least wear it through September and October. But again, it'd be cool if I could have it done before that. I'm excited. By the way, this is the last time you'll see this for this year because absolutely guarantee you the next time it's going to be the fall one. It was almost the fall one today, but I decided I'd let my spring blanket sit a little bit longer. This is the Spring Rhapsody blanket by Anna's Crafty Home. I tested this one, but I made the fall one the year before that. It's like a stitch sampler blanket with a whole bunch of different colors. And right now I think there's only a spring and a fall one. And that became my background because I have it hanging over. I film behind my couch because that's in front of my big sliding door window and gives me this beautiful light. So sit behind my couch when I record these, and a blanket hanging on it is my background. And so I have a spring and a summer, or spring and a fall one, and I switch them out throughout the year. But you can say goodbye to the spring one. We'll be back next year, but the fall one will be up next time through probably February and longer if, you know, I would love to have it up longer, but I'll go ahead and, you know, switch it out for spring somewhere around there. I have one more whip to show, and that is my I'm sorry about that today. My dragon fruit socks, that's what I'm calling them, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but it is a play off of the Fruity Feet sock pattern by Drops Design. And I've got to do this carefully. So this is using yarn by Sorella Yarn, and when I saw this, I'm trying to remember what collection this was released in, but I can't. Some kind of like I think this yarn was called like London Fog or something. I don't know. That doesn't sound right either. But I saw this yarn, and the colors with the various shades of pink and the white and the black made me think of dragon fruit. Like I couldn't get it out of my head. So it looks like caked up. So cute. And I decided that I was going to make, I had found this Fruity Feet pattern because it's like a watermelon sock pattern, and I thought it was super cute. In fact, I would still love to make it as a watermelon sock someday. But I thought that would be fun to make with a bright green for like the leaves of dragon fruit. So this is Cascade Yarns. Look at the fun little can't do that one-handed. There you go. The fun little ripply detailing of the cuff. And then I only have one on the needle. This is the first one too, so I don't have even a half width or half FO. But I just finished my gusset decreases, so now I'm just working on the foot. I have not tried it on because I'm kind of scared. I don't have the greatest track record of making socks that fit well. And I figure I'm this far in and I'm not going to rip it up and redo it. So, it should be close. I seem to run mine a little larger than what they should be. But honestly, I have one pair of knit socks that I made for myself, and I love them to pieces, and I have only worn them maybe once or twice because I'm afraid to wear them, and I know that I shouldn't be, but I am. I would rather just look at them because they're so pretty, and I think that's what's going to happen with this one too. All the stitch markers are dangling from this. All sorts of things marked, but I will say the pattern has been a little tricky for me at times, and maybe if I was more familiar with sock knitting, it wouldn't be as kind of confusing. But I'm really glad that I've done a couple of pairs, because based on what I did there, I can kind of go, oh, when they say this, they're actually meaning this, and like I'm able to like translate it in my brain and like equate it to things that I've done. So luckily the construction, I know people have different ways to do heels. This was a heel flap and gusset, and I'd done that before, so I was familiar with what I was doing. With smaller tube things, they're yarn micro stripes, but because I held it double for the heel like the pattern recommends to give it some more thickness, it ends up doing this, like, it ended up doing like wider stripes, which I thought was really neat to see. It definitely stands out from the rest of the pattern, and part of me was tempted to do a green heel, but I didn't want to deal with it. So the toe will be contrasting though, so I'll have a green heel and toe. The heel kind of has its own little thing going on, and now I'm back to my micro stripes. So I think it's super cute. It's been working it pretty quick after I did the cuff. Casting on socks is my least favorite part. The row one, well, I should say the row one of socks is my least favorite part. I struggle so hard getting them established. And then after that, like, I like doing the magic loop. So I just do that. And after, I mean, it's pretty smooth sailing after that initial cast on, but boy, I almost stopped on that for this. Frustrates me too quickly. So that was my last whip, and just want to make sure that's focusing. So that takes me to mail, because I do have some things that I want to show, and one of them was, you know, my earrings by Hello Lavender. But Hello Lavender, I also ordered, this was from the Into the Wild collab that was done with Explorer Knits. I feel like they changed their name recently, so I'm trying to remember if I have that right. And by recently, I mean like the last year, so really probably not that recently, but anyway. So this was the Under the Sea earring, I believe is what it was called. And then I got the chameleon stitch markers because it kind of reminded me of dragon skin. That's like the main one of the set, and then there's some accent stitch markers, which are super cute. So, nice close-up of those. Yeah, they're really pretty. There were a lot of good ones from, I mean, not to say that Hello Lavender's collections don't always have a lot of good ones, but this one, like, all of them were so intricate and so beautiful. It was really hard to choose one, but ultimately I chose that one because, again, it reminded me of dragon skin, so that is that. And then my other part of my mail section is some tags that I got. So I showed you the pumpkin leaf tags earlier, but along with it, I've been wanting to order from the shop for a little while, but I confess that I don't make too many things that could utilize the kind of tags that were primarily in the shop. So this is Idaho Tailor Made again. But the pumpkin leaves got me. So I ordered 6 pumpkin leaves. So I have 4 left, 2 of each color. I did 3 of each color originally. So those are obviously the light green and the dark green. And then I also got pumpkin tags. They all say, I got 3. They all say the same thing. Cutest pumpkin in the patch. So the idea being that I've never used pumpkin tags before, but you fold it in half and you stitch through the hole there to put it in like the pumpkin stem, instead of, you know, using like a cinnamon stick or a stick. And so then you can do like a combination. So I plan on making some more pumpkins so I can do a combination of the stem and the leaf. But this shop has all sorts of sayings for pumpkin tags. This one I just thought was like the most fitting. It was my favorite. But there's a whole bunch about like autumn and the season, and I'm trying to remember specific ones in my head, but I can't. So many cute ones. I think there were like 8 different ones to choose from, and all sorts of color. And by the way, when it came to the leaves, all sorts of color options. Like, I wouldn't have thought to do the colors in the shop, but their Instagram page, they posted a photo of some, like, it was a big helping of different pumpkins that they made, and some of them feature the different colored pumpkin leaves, and they're beautiful. Like, it made me want to make some wacky colored pumpkins. but I decided to go for more standard because that's just my style. So there's that. But while I was there, I decided to go ahead and order some tags that I'd had my eye on for a little bit. I just hadn't, again, I haven't really made things that could be tagged, but I think this would be really cute on hats in particular. I think that's kind of mainly what you use it for. But it's a made with love tag. You can do it. It's just getting worse, isn't it? Maybe there it kind of did it. Anyway, so you can choose different colors. There's quite a bit of variety, and also different like things that you could have on the tags. You can also do like custom, like your logo on the tags. This is not sponsored, by the way. I just thought the shop was really cool. And so you fold it in half, and on one side it's this little heart, and on the other side it says made with love. Then it came with the rivets too. I've never done these before, so I'm hoping it doesn't take special equipment. I don't know. I have to look into that. But cute little tags. I think the pack that I got had 20 of them, and I chose brown because I feel like that would go with a lot of the different things that I make and the colors that I tend to gravitate to. So I felt like that was a safe color choice. So that is my haul for the week. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I think that's essentially it. I'm excited to make more pumpkins. I have, so these guys, I'm sorry, I'm going back in circles, but these guys, I got 2 pumpkins out of the skein of the Eco Cozy, which has 145 yards, and I still have some left over. So I could probably get, I know I'll be able to get 4 because I have another full skein, but I might even be able to get 5. And I don't know if I'm going to do the same pattern for all 5 of them yet, and then just do different variations of like the stem and the tag, like the leaf tags. But that's kind of what I'm toying with. So I've stopped after 2 until I figure out what I want to do with that. I'm going to be doing at least a test coming up. It's a Halloween themed one. I haven't started because the pattern hasn't been given to me yet, but that will be a test that I'm doing. I applied for another pumpkin test this morning, so we'll see if I get to do that. That one would be a knit one, and it's super pretty. It uses the drop stitch? Dip stitch, that's what it is. I knew it was with the D. I think it's the same stitch that's utilized in the sorrel tee, that like really pretty, kind of looks like a dip. But that's like the ribbing of the pumpkin, and I just thought that was so beautiful. So I'm kind of hoping I can test that one. If not, I'm sure I will purchase the pattern when it's released. Trying to think what else. Maybe I'll say it here, because I don't think it would hurt anything. I completed a tech editing crochet course a couple weeks ago. I signed up for it earlier this year. It just took me a little bit to get through, you know, just for my own time allotments. The course was really helpful. It provided a lot of great resources. It's by Fiat Fiber Arts. Make sure I got that right. I didn't write that down. This is what happens when I go off script. Yep, Fiat Fiber Arts. Because she's a tech editor, and so she's gotten to the point where she decided to put together a course and help other people who are trying to decide if they want to be a tech editor. And the reason I decided that it's something I wanted to try is because with all the testing that I've done in the past, a majority of the time the designers have told me how helpful my feedback has been and how detailed my comments were and how appreciative they were of what I was able to do with our pattern. And I've had a couple people even suggest that I should look into tech editing and see if that's something that I would be interested in doing. And so here I am. I've officially tech edited my first pattern. Right now I'm just doing practice in exchange for reviews that I'll eventually put on my website. I've done one, and I have 2 more in the queue that I'm just waiting for the patterns to come in. So I'm pretty excited. I want to do at least 3 to 5 before I kind of make things more official. Start updating my website, updating my Instagram, doing more advertising. I work full-time, so I realize with this first one, especially while I'm still learning and improving how fast I can do these kinds of things, it was exhausting. Like, it was great. I was so happy doing it, and it was such a great experience with this designer, but I didn't work on it during the work week. I basically did it over the weekend, and it was a lot. I felt like my brain didn't have time to rest between what I do during the week and then what I did that weekend. So I know that I won't be able to do as many as I would like, at least right now while I'm still in the beginning stages. But that has been really awesome. I'm pretty excited to see what the future holds there and if it's something that works out. You know, I mean, I'm not expecting to like make it my living necessarily, but I think it would be, I don't know, I hope the people that I work with will find it beneficial to them, because I do think that I copy edit as part of my day job. I'm accustomed to being detail oriented and looking for inconsistencies and things like that, and I love that, and being able to combine it with crochet is why I got into testing in the first place, because I could do things like look at a pattern and how it's written and make the thing that I wanted to make too, and provide what I hoped was helpful feedback to the designer. So I'm excited. It'll be faster than testing too, because obviously I won't have to make the pattern. I just go through it and kind of picture it in my head. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that all with you. Again, I'm not posting it super publicly about it yet because I want to get a little bit more under my belt before I go official, but that's where that is at. And with that, I think I'm going to log out for the day. I anticipate that my mom and I will be working on the Tidings to You wrap soon. It is Saturday, and Saturday is our day to knit. So I'm going to go get ready for that. Talk to y'all soon.